let's take a look here at Sinbad the Sailor and his sidekick, the Porter. Sinbad is a melee fighter with 15 health and move of 2. The Porter has 6 health and is melee and also moves 2. When you maneuver, you may move your fighters plus 1 space for each voyage card in your discard pile. And here are the voyage cards. We'll go over them. They're all going to be an attack of 2. Voyage to the island that was a whale. This card's value is +1 for each other voyage card in your discard pile, and they're all going to say that as their during combat effect, so I won't read those every time, and they're each only 1 copy of in your deck. So let's read the after combat. Sinbad recovers 2 health. Voyage to the city of man-eating apes. Deal 2 damage to the opposing fighter. Voyage to the creature with eyes like coals of fire. Your opponent discards 1 random card. Voyage to the valley of the giant snakes. Look at your opponent's hand. Voyage to the cannibals with the root of madness. You may move Sinbad up to 2 spaces. Voyage to the city of the king of Serendib. Draw 1 card. And then lastly, voyage home. Take all other voyage cards from your discard pile and add them to your hand. So you can see he has 7 voyages to work with there. The next card that we're going to see that Sinbad has is Commanding Impact. Draw 1 card. It's any and a 5 value. Only 1 copy of that in the deck as well. Then here he has Riches Beyond Compare. Draw 3 cards. There's 2 copies of that. Regroup. Draw 1 card. If you won the combat, draw 2 cards instead. Feint. Cancel effects on your opponent's card. Momentous Shift. If your fighter started this turn in a different space, this card's value is 5 instead. Leap Away. If you won the combat, choose one of the fighters in the combat and move them up to 4 spaces. Exploit. Draw 1 card. And it's a 4 value. Toil and Danger. Move Sinbad up to 3 spaces. And lastly, the only Porter card in the deck. Draw 2 cards by Fortune and Feint. It's a 3 attack. There's 3 copies of that in the deck. So what do you want to do with Sinbad? Well, Sinbad is an engine that gets stronger as the game goes on, as you play cards, right? He's going to get stronger movement for each voyage, and there's 7 voyages in total. And he's going to get extra attack if it's not feinted for each other voyage. So if I have 3 voyages in my discard and I would play this one, this would then become a 5. Now, because you have the voyage home, it's the only voyage that has a boost. So you can't use any others to boost, but it has the only boost, and that sometimes that's important to remember. You do want to get the effect off usually. It's not necessary to win the game, but it's nice to get your cards from your discard pile back into your hand. Be careful if your opponent's running from you that you don't use this and aren't able to get to him afterwards. Because you remember, you can't discard these to get to him for extra movement, because your movement would go back down to 2 or 3 because the voyage home would be in your discard. Anyway, what you want to do with Sinbad, because they're going to want to feint you later in the game because your attacks are stronger, is you're going to want to play these 3 first, if you can, in early game. So try to use your good voyages early. Sinbad recovers 2 health, deal 2 damage to the opposing fighter, and your opponent discards 1 random card. Those are the better voyage effects that you would want to use early game, as opposed to look at your opponent's hand, moving Sinbad up to 2, or drawing a card. So you're going to want to use these 3 early on and the others late game if you can. Also, the Commanding Impact you want to play late game. Because it's a 5 and they think that you're going to throw a 2, they're going to take 3 if they throw a feint as a cancel. And it stops you from drawing a card, which Sinbad doesn't really need that because he has good card draw already, good enough card draw. Another thing I want to say on that note is don't overdraw, because you might be tempted to play Riches Beyond Compare and overdraw. And there's 2 copies, that's 6 cards that you would draw if you played both in a given game. Another thing is the Porter is a meat shield. You can use them to play some of these different cards here, and of course you could play the Commanding, but it's better, as I said, to play like late game with Sinbad. But the Porter can play any of these cards here. And that is nice because he's just a meat shield anyway. So you could just throw stuff out if you needed a card drawer to move one of the fighters, or you can use Momentous with him because they are going to save their feints for the voyages from Sinbad. So if you attack with Momentous from the Porter, it's usually better. And then if you really need some card draw, do the by Fortune and Fate. So in short, Sinbad is ramping up his voyages, and he's trying to get the best value out of each of them that he can, and if possible, to redraw them and get the value again to be able to deal 4 damage instead of 2 in total in the game. Your opponent discards 2 random cards throughout the game, and Sinbad would recover 4 health throughout the game if you could get those effects off twice in a given game. So you're kind of going for that, trying to get the most out of your cards, and characters can't really run from you. So as you ramp up your voyages, they won't be able to just run away. So you're going to want to chase them down, attack them, keep them on their back foot, and attack early with these so you can get these bigger attack and voyages. He's pretty straightforward as long as you just understand the voyage game. Anyway, hope that helps you understand Sinbad a little bit better.